Hey guys, welcome back to Project Time Garage. Well, this is part 2 of our F250 with injector cup problems. If you'll remember in the last video, I'll link that video up here. If you remember in the last video, we weren't sure what we were dealing with, if it was an early 99 or late 99. Turns out it was a early 99 engine and a late 99 truck, junkyard engine. So we've got all our parts here today. That consists of injectors, injector cups, that's glow plugs, that's coolant tank, or coolant overflow tank, and that water pump. So we're going to dive into this thing. There's probably going to be 2 parts to this video, but I'm going to stick it all together into one giant video. This is going to be a longer video, I think. We've got a lot of work to do, and you guys expressed the desire to have some detail. So I'm going to give you that detail. I'll spend a lot of detail taking the thing apart, but going back together is kind of just the reverse of that. If there's anything that comes to my mind, I'll slow down and explain it. But to keep from having the video be 10 hours long, I'll go through and try to gloss over some of the easy installation stuff, spend my time on installation. Today, we're going to get the thing apart, get the injectors out of it, get the injector cups pulled, get the new injector cups back in it and the new injectors seated, and then that'll probably be about all we can get done in one day. Tomorrow morning we'll jump up bright and early with the roosters, come out here and finish buttoning it back up and try to start flushing some of that coolant out of, or some of that diesel fuel out of the coolant system. So we've got a lot of work to do. You guys strap in and enjoy the show. Let's get rolling. This is why we're doing this. In this coolant reservoir, it smells very much like diesel fuel. And if you can look down in there, it looks kind of brown and grotesque. Yeah, it's brown liquid. If we just take something that's light color and dip down in there and pull it back up, you'll see right away that that is not coolant. That is a lot of diesel fuel. So this thing's pumping quite a bit of diesel into the coolant. Most likely, it's injector cups. It's not uncommon for that to happen with these. So we're going to set about the process of draining the coolant. So that's going to be step 1. I'll bring you back when the coolant's drained. All right. Go ahead and get both of our negative battery cables loose. Okay, with all that done, we're just going to fly into this thing and we're going to start making some room. We're going to pull, since we're going to put a water pump on this truck, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to actually replace this coolant reservoir as well. So I'm going to get the coolant reservoir, I'm going to get the alternator. It doesn't have to be removed, but it sure makes it a little easier to get to things when stuff's out of my way. I'll probably go ahead and remove the alternator because it's so easy to pull out. Get our top hose off of here, get our charge air cooler tubes off of here, air intake, I'm going to get this whole side of the engine just pretty much cleaned up and out and get everything out of my way on this side of the engine. We're going to start here. I'll go ahead and probably get this side torn down, get the valve cover off, get the injectors out of it, glow plugs out of it, and then we'll go ahead and pull the cups on this side. So let's start getting some things out of our way. Well, there's really no first and last. I'm just going to start getting things loose that I know have to come off, because it's all got to come off. Like I said on the last video, when you're loosening these charge air boots, it's really a good idea if you take them loose from the plenum side here on this piece of solid tube. If you take them off here, it's really easy to over tighten them and crush this aluminum pipe. And if you do that, it'll just keep spitting out the hose. And even if you don't crush it, the guy before you may have. So you may pay the price for his mistake. So those 2 are loose, gonna go ahead, get our intake loosened up. This will be an 8mm. Got a hose clamp here. Clamp here. Pretty easy, just pops off. Charge air boot or charge air pipe. Pulls off there. You can pull it straight out and just kind of work it right up like that. I lost my clamp down there. Got to go find that. Next thing we have down here is this engine harness. It'd be a 10 millimeter for that guy. We'll just pull that back, just kind of tuck it out of our way somewhere. Let's go ahead and get this coolant reservoir out of our way. We have a 10 millimeter here in the middle. And then we have 2 more 10 millimeters down here beside the battery. Anyway. And then we have one hose clamp over here on the side that we're going to get. Then we have one underneath that we're going to get. Clamp here. I just love these clamps. That. We have one clamp underneath. That's a little bit more of a challenge to get to. A little tougher, but manageable. Especially with the wrong pliers. Makes it much easier. All right, there we go. Thing getting it off was tough. Why do you put it back on? All right, coolant reservoir out of the way. Next thing we're going to get out of the way is the belt. Here's your tensioner down here. It's actually got I've got 2 idlers on this tensioner. We just grab it, pull it this way, and let the belt go. And in this case, we've got to go around the top hose. So I'm going to go ahead and break the top hose loose. I'm pretty sure they put that hole in the clamp right there just so a regular pair of pliers will turn under, forcing you to go buy the right pliers. It's got to be why. All right, there's that. And the belt's off. I'm gonna go ahead and get the alternator out of the way. It has a 10 millimeter right there and a plug right there. I thought I was filming when I popped those loose, but I wasn't. So these are 13s, I believe. Yeah, 13s. There's our icky thermostat down there. All right, at this point, I'm probably going to go ahead and remove the fan shroud and the fan as an assembly. So the only thing about when you do this is just be careful and don't let the fan get into the radiator. I'm going to show you a quick way to kind of mitigate that risk a little bit. Fan shroud's held on by 2 8mm bolts. One there, one up here. It's right in front of the air conditioner compressor clutch. You can lift this thing back, and when it comes time to remove it, all you have to do is just lift straight up. It's just basically sticking in some tabs down there. But before we do that, I'm going to cut a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to shove that piece of cardboard right down here in front of the fan. So that'll kind of protect the radiator a little bit when I get ready to pull the fan out. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this piece of cardboard here, and we're going to slide it down in front of the radiator, and we're going to take this awesome piece of wire here, and we're going to just kind of hook it. Now, this is a very special piece of cardboard. See, this piece of cardboard came from Full Force. It's an AB rebuild box. This is very much compatible with hanging down in front of your radiator. So make sure that you ask for the AB rebuild box. And if you do it properly, and if you cut it right, it will just kind of hang right over that nut right there, that wing nut right there, and give you all the protection that you want. Now, I'm going to take this screw here for this fan shroud. I'm going to put it back in just for a second. And the reason I'm going to do that is just to keep the fan shroud out of my way while I work to get the fan off of it, because that can be a little bit of a feat. All right, there's that. So to get the fan off of there, there's a bunch of different ways. A lot of people say, well, just leave the belt on it and that will provide enough tension. But I got to tell you, I've really not had any luck with that really either. I've had better luck just grabbing a hold of the thing and using an air chisel. That seems to work the best. So let's do that. Fan removal. So once you get the fan loose, and that's a feat in and of itself, it just spins counterclockwise. Just hold on to it, and it's going to drop. All right, there we go. So I'm just going to kind of lay it down in here. Get this bolt back out of the fan shroud here. And then we can work to get the fan shroud and fan out as an assembly. So here we go. Just being really careful. There it is. And as far as my big piece of cardboard that I have down here, I'm just going to leave that in place, because worst case scenario, all it's going to do is protect, keep me from screwing up and dropping something into the radiator. All right, next let's go ahead, let's get this guy out of the way. And then we're down to valve cover bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one and this one out of the way first, because those two are the most in the way of them all. So these are 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter, but 1/2 inch works fine. And you can just feed it right back through here. Get it out of our way completely. Relief. Kind of just stick that back there out of our way, this out of our way. Now we've got a good clear shot at the valve cover. And we're just gonna 1/2 inch like crazy it. All right, so that should have our valve cover, with the exception of the bolt that I forgot to get out. That should have our valve cover, for real this time, out of the way. Let's go ahead and get this valve cover harness out of here. You basically just unclip these, push it down, unclip, push down, unclip, push down. And then you're left with the glow plugs, and the glow plugs are the hardest part for me for whatever reason to get to. That's actually broke right there. Somebody's been here. That's broke too. Nice. All right. So let's get this out of the way. Unplug the glow plugs, and we'll pull this harness right out of here. Next thing I'm going to grab is going to be the injector exhausts. We'll get those out of there. Get them broke loose anyway. Then we'll get them out. These do have to come out first. They look like they don't, but they do. All right, 4 injector exhausts. Next, we're going to go for the injectors themselves. You take the bottom bolt all the way out, and the top bolt you don't touch ever, period. And once again, I've got to go back to a shorter extension. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go over here on the table and I'm going to prepare a place because this is about to get messy. All right, injector 1. All right, injectors are out. Let's go ahead and get the glow plugs out next. I believe those are 10. So here's the question. Are they going to come out good or are they not going to come out good? Jury's out. Sometimes these things have a tendency to break off. And when they do, you pull the head. That's it. It's the only option you got. They, a lot of times, they'll get carboned up on the bottom side or they'll swell and break. And when they do, you don't have many choices. That one's in good shape. Well, I say in good shape. It came out good. It didn't break and cause us any grief. Okay, took them all 4 out. That is a great start. That's a great start. All right, we'll get set up here in a second to go ahead and pull the cups out of this thing. So what we've got here, this is the puller tool for the injector cups. The idea is you sink this down in there into the edge of the cup itself, and you start turning, and this thing basically just cuts threads on the way down. You get it all the way seated, and then back it up just a touch, and then run this nut down, and it basically draws the whole mess out. I'll start with the front since it's the easiest one to get to, and just see what we got. Also, this right here, this collar centers it in the bore just to keep it perfectly straight. No issues. I want to do as much of it as I can without using a extension if I can help from it. Just going to go slow and easy. And I'm going to go till I feel it bottom. And it'll be pretty evident when it does bottom. There's the bottom. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. I'm going to run my nut down here. Snug it up with my hands. 15/16 socket, deep well. And we're just going to gently work it out. And there's our cup. What you can do is you can kind of look at the bottom of them, and you can see if there's anything that looks amiss. And this one actually looks really good. You can see around the side, it's nice and clean where it was seated. On the bottom, I can actually still see where the green sleeve compound was. So that one probably was not leaking. So we're going to do this to all the rest of them. I'll bring you back when we get them out. All right, I'm going to have a look down our injector bores. So this is the first one. And what I'm going to just kind of curious about is down here in the seat area. I'm just kind of curious as to what that looks like. See a little bit of a remnant of thread sealer down there, so we'll clean all that stuff up. And we can actually go on down and see top of the piston there. The other thing I want to see is where the top portion of my injector cup seals, which is right here. I'm just kind of curious to see how that looks right there. All right, so we're going to clean this up and show you how I do that. To clean these up, to clean these bores up anyway, we've got a couple of brushes here. You can get these from Alliant, and basically they're just like they're almost like baby bottle brushes extreme. This one here will do a good job of cleaning up the sides of the bores, and it's also got a nice little tip there that'll kind of get down in that little hole. And then this right here will this one here will clean up the face of the bore pretty well. Bit of a manual job, but it cleans up pretty fast. So I'm going to start with cleaning up the face, the bore face. So guys, here's an unwritten rule in automotive repair. If you keep a bucket full of coolant or a bucket full of oil underneath the car while you're working on it, you will never lose a tool again because it'll always fall in that bucket of whatever. Pro tip. Yes, that just happened. So we got all the junk scraped out of the injector holes, injector bores. Now what we're going to do is just going to take some towels. We're going to run down in there. We're going to just kind of try to pick up as much as we can of this stuff. Give it a little squirt of air, just kind of blow any debris out. So now that we've sprayed them down and scraped them and cleaned them up, we're just going to go have a look and see what the seat looks like. Actually looks pretty good. Turn down some of the... Yeah, it actually looks very good in that one. Let's go to the next hole. Looks like we've got a little bit of stuff right there toward the top of that one. Got some more on the side of that one. And a little bit more all around on that one. So I've got some more scraping to do. Okay, last time I should have to scope it, and that should be it. Starting with the back. Okay, so clean, they're shiny. Next order of business, injector cups. The whole reason we're here in the first place. All right, here's the tool we use to install the cups. So basically the idea is you take your injector cup, stick it on like that, push it down in the hole, and drive it in with that. Gingerly drive it in. Before I do that, I like to just take a little bit of brake clean. And just give them a clean. And as far as the retainer compound goes, this is Loctite 620 sleeve retainer compound. And the idea here is I'm going to put a little bead around it. And we're going to put a bead around the top. I like to stay toward the bottom of the cup when I do this. Because that's the part that's going to end up going down first. And we drive it in. So we'll start here in this front one. I try to go down just as straight in there as I can. I try not to touch the walls, but you know, it is what it is. It's kind of hard not to sometimes. So we start driving it in until we hear the tone change. And as soon as you feel that tone change, you'll feel a little bit of a bounce out of the tool. That's when you stop. Don't keep going. Any of the retainer compound that you see in the bores, now's the time to clean that up. There's the first cup. In and happy. So we're going to do that to all the rest of them. We'll come back. All right, we're going to go back in with the injectors. So my lovely assistant David has covered them with oil, like lots and lots of oil. We're just going to go back in with them here. So this is the AE injector. The AE injector goes in the rear, number 8. So I just stuck it in the front by accident. To the rear we go. That one's seated. Next injector. Use our wrench to finish seating it. Okay, so now it's back in with our drain plugs, and then we're going to come back in with our injector exhausts. Okay, plugs are back in. Okay, this will be injector exhaust ports. Going back on. So that's everything back on with the exception of the glow plugs, and we can't do that till we roll the motor over and evacuate fluids. So at this point, what I need is the valve cover. I'm just going to lay it back over there to keep me from dropping anything down in there. And let's get rolling. All right, so we're going to start with the charge air tube boot on this side. Get that out of my way. We'll be losing another clamp here momentarily. There's the last one. Believe that? Man, we're just rocking and rolling here. So this side's the same as the other side. We're gonna start by unplugging the, actually I'm gonna start by unplugging this guy right here. That. And then here. So I'm going to try to unplug this. Chances are it's going to break, but I want to try it anyway. No, it's unplugged. Good. One glow plug, two glow plug, three glow plug, and four glow plug. No hanging. Stop hanging. Whoa now. Whoa now. Okay. All right, so just like the other side, we're going to start with our injector exhaust and yank them off. That. Next order, get the hold downs off of it. Those would be 8s. All right, let's get the injector cups out of this side. That'll be the end of this tool. Something gets put away for good there. All right, next thing we're going to do is clean up these bores. I won't make you sit through that. All right, I'm going to drive the injector cups in this side. Let's go ahead at this point and pull out the glow plugs while we're at it here. All right, next is going to be the injectors going back in on this side. We're going to set the valve cover back on the top of it, stick the oil fill spout on top just to keep dust and dirt and debris out of it. Let this stuff set up overnight. Tomorrow morning we'll come back and we'll finish buttoning it up, start it, and watch it catch on fire and burn. Be great. Oh, I should have went to makeup before I came here. All right, this is day 3 on the truck. We're back. We've got injector cups out, new injector cups in, new injectors are in it. I've got the water pump off the front of it because we're going to replace it because of the fuel contamination. Once we get that done, we'll go ahead and leave the valve. The rocker covers are on here just sitting there. We'll roll the engine over a time or two. That'll evacuate all the junk out of the cylinders, all the oil and stuff that poured down there when we pull the injectors. There's going to be quite a bit of it. Always want to do that, otherwise you'll end up hydrolocking and probably bending a rod. So we're going to do that, evacuate these cylinders, start putting it back together. It should run here in a couple hours, so let's get started. All right, roll it over. Hold on. Let me get out of the way. Do it again. Oh, still got me. Do it again. All right, do it again. One more time. One more time. Again. All right, that's it. All right, so we can go back, start going back in with glow plugs. That's going to be our next feat. I always like to run these down by hand until I'm sure they're started, like that. Okay, on this side, get this valve cover off, get the glow plugs put in it, and then get the valve cover slash rocker cover put on. Okay, rocker covers are on. Rocker covers, I call them rocker covers, they're valve covers, whatever you want to call them. They cover some rockers. I'm going to go ahead and get this back together. We're going to get it together just enough to be able to start the truck. Make sure that David hasn't destroyed something on us. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We got it pretty far back together. We still have the water pump off of it. One of the charge air tubes is off of it. It's sort of back together. It's back together enough so that we can go ahead and start it. And I'm just one of those guys. I like to start the thing and make sure that everything's working right before I get it all put back together and buttoned back up. In case I do have to go back in there and take something else apart, it doesn't take me a week to get back to it. So we're going to stick the batteries on it, get everything plugged back up, and go ahead and try to start it. Now, since the oil pressure system, or the high pressure oiling system, is basically empty, it's going to take quite a while to crank it long enough to build up pressure, because it's got to fill up the reservoir, then it has to fill up the oil galleys and all that stuff. So it's going to take a while before it starts. It's going to roll over a lot of times, and it's going to smoke like a freight train once it gets started. And not only that, after it does start, it'll probably be kind of hard to start for probably 10 or 15 miles. It's been my experience. So let's do that. Do it again. Do it. It's quiet. Hear how quiet it is?
It's a lot better than it was.
And it's still got air in it and it's quiet.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and shut it off.
Try it again, see what it does.
Yeah, it'll be a little hard to start for a little while, but yeah, it'll be better this time, for sure. All right, kill it, we're good. All right, so it runs, that's a good sign. Hard to start, like I said it was gonna be. It's takes a while to get it oil back up to the top of it. That gives me some hope. Didn't see any fuel. No animals came flying out of it. We lived through it, so there's that. Still got most of our fingers. So we're gonna go ahead and finish putting this thing back together and start cleaning out the cooling system. So let's get going. All right, here we are. We're going to take we got the truck outside now. We're going to try to flush some of this contaminated diesel. We're going to try to flush some of this contaminated diesel out of the coolant system, or this diesel contaminant. Yeah, that's it. We're just going to take a garden hose and we're just going to start backfilling or I guess backfilling the lines, or heater hoses. What am I trying to say here? We're going to put a hose pipe to the heater hoses and we're going to back flush it. Back flush is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, back flush. Back flush, not backfill. That's backwash, not backwash, something else. That's nasty. Gonna wash that diesel right out of my oil. This is where Brian takes a bath, isn't it? There it comes, and it's ooey. All right. That's coming out pretty clean. So I feel a whole lot better about it. Well, let's go ahead and put a water pump on it. What do you think? We're putting anti-seize on the bolts. Pretty soon, we'll both be silver. This stuff gets on everything. Okay, so it's pretty much back together. We've got some water in it. We're just running straight water until we get it flushed enough. We're going to use some dishwashing powders, and that's another thing that I saw years ago with Diesel Tech Ron. Man, that guy was something else. Anyway, we're going to try to run some dish detergent through it. Probably do this a few times over the course of the weeks. Run it, empty it, run it, empty it until no more junk comes floating to the top. So let's get about that. All right. I've flushed this thing a couple of times over the past few days, and just figured I would kind of run you through what I'm doing here. This is just dishwashing powders. And we use powder because it doesn't make bubbles, it doesn't make suds. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit in my cup and let it start to kind of dissolve a bit, because you want it mixed up and you want it a liquid when you pour it in. You probably don't want to pour those grains down there. You don't want to pour the grains in there. All right, while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and start putting some more water in the radiator. Just going to kind of give that a few minutes here to, just going to let that settle in a little bit, and then I'll pour the dish detergent down there, and then we'll come back and finish filling it with water. Going to mix this up a little bit. Mixing apparatus. All right. Just going to pour it in. Drink up. All right, and there were some down there that didn't get dissolved, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get that dissolved and pour that in too. Waste not, want not. All right, let's start the truck up, and we'll continue filling it while the truck's running, and we will get it up to closer to operating temperature, and then we'll drain it. Start it up. Okay. It's pulling that water down pretty good now out of the coolant reservoir. I just turned the water back on to kind of a slow drizzle. We'll just keep it cool, or we'll just keep it full. All right, guys, all done. That's it. Wrapped up on this project here. Runs a ton better. It's amazing how much better they run with new injectors, even though the other injectors really weren't that bad. It's like it's got a new lease on life. Truck's got plenty of power. We found a couple of boost leaks along the way that we corrected. Starts really easy, runs nice and quiet. No more diesel fuel contaminating the coolant. That's the big thing. I've flushed this thing 5 or 6 times now with just water and dishwashing powder, and it's done a pretty good job. Once it runs for a while, you still get a little bit of a film that comes to the top, and really the only way to fix that is just to continually drain it. So run it for a day or so and then drain it out. We're not running any antifreeze in it yet. We're still running just straight water. With water, we can actually see when it's cleaned up. Appreciate you guys sticking through a long video like this. I know it was long. I know I'd asked in the prior video, this one here, part one of this series. If you guys wanted some detail or just wanted me to gloss over it, you guys pretty much all said you wanted some detail. So I made a longer video for it, and I hope it's not too long. I hope it's good. Hope you guys were able to learn something from this. It's not really a hard job. It's a kind of a time-consuming job, and mechanically it's not difficult. But I would say probably the hardest part of it, or let's say the most time-consuming part of it, is cleaning those injector bores. It takes a lot of time. The old sleeve retainer compound that was in there, either from the factory or from the last time I had injectors, you got to really scrape that stuff out. It's like kind of like dried paint, so it takes some work, and it's a really manual process. Having those set of brushes from Alliant really does help. I'll stick a link down in here in the description to the Alliant brushes. I'll also stick a link down here to the injector cup extractor tool and the installation tool, because you'll also need those if you're going to tackle this project. If you are going to tackle this project, it's not really a big deal. If you're moderately mechanically inclined, you can pull this off for sure. You got this. There's really nothing special to it. It's just paying attention to what you're doing, making sure things are really clean, and paying attention to your torque values. Rambled on long enough. If you guys haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. Really helps us out a lot. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Let us know how we're doing. Really appreciate you guys watching this video and sticking with me on this. Leave some information down here in the comments as far as what other kind of videos you'd like to see. You want me to just stick with 7.3/diesel stuff, or do you want to see kind of a grab bag variety of different kinds of things like I've been showing, from the Solaras and the old engines and mixing in some diesel stuff here and there? Let me know what you want to see, and I'll do my very best to tailor this channel to meet what you guys actually care about seeing. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.